galactic conclave chamber was enormous. Tall alien delegates from hundreds of star systems sat in their designated zones, their voices low and serious. The walls were lined with glowing panels that displayed the stars, the planets, and the movements of fleets across the galaxy. At the center, a smaller, frail-looking alien approached the podium. He had scars across his face, and his body bore marks of battles long past. Every eye in the chamber turned toward him. "I come with a warning," the alien began, his voice shaking slightly, "about a species you all call humans. You must not attack them. You must not even try. If you do, you will never leave their space alive." The room fell silent for a moment. Then, as if on cue, laughter broke out. A cluster of Krith Dominion generals known for their brutal campaigns and endless pride chuckled. "Humans," said General Vrask, his voice deep and gravelly. "We have studied them. They are small, short-lived creatures. Their technology is primitive compared to ours. What threat could they possibly pose?" The alien's eyes flashed. "I have seen them fight. I have seen what they can do. They are not like other species. They do not flee. They do not surrender. They adapt faster than anyone can predict, and they do not forget. If you attack them, you will wish you had listened to me." The laughter did not stop. Many delegates shook their heads, muttering about superstition. Yet a few younger observers looked uneasy. Something in the alien's tone, his eyes, the scars, made them wonder if he spoke the truth. The envoy, whose name was Trelak, did not argue. He merely placed a small data sphere on the podium. "This is a record," he said, "of what happens to anyone who underestimates humans." No one touched it. They did not need to. Trelak's stories were enough. He described a small human colony on a fringe planet. It had been attacked by a neighboring alien race. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and almost wiped out. Yet they survived. They adapted their weapons, turned their ships into traps, and even learned the enemy's strategies within days. By the time the attackers realized it, their fleet had been destroyed. The humans did not celebrate. They did not boast. They simply returned to their homes stronger and wiser. The Krith generals scoffed. "Stories are not proof," Vrask said. "We will see for ourselves soon enough. Humans will be a minor conquest, nothing more." And so, ignoring Trelak's warning, the Krith Dominion prepared for war. Their fleets moved silently through hyperspace toward the human border colonies. On the edge of known space, a small human world named Haven Prime orbited a blue sun. Its cities gleamed in the light, peaceful and unaware of the doom approaching. On Haven Prime, humans were busy with their daily lives. Scientists worked in laboratories, engineers repaired starships, and children played in the parks. The humans had grown strong and clever, but they had no idea that a great danger approached. When the Krith fleet arrived, they expected no resistance. Their scanners showed minimal defenses, and their command officers whispered with confidence about how easily the colony would fall. The first attack began. Krith warships descended upon the orbital defense stations. Their weapons fired in bright bursts, destroying communications towers and power grids. The humans responded slowly, but then something strange happened. Human ships did not flee. They did not even try to win at first. They allowed themselves to be hit, carefully maneuvering to gather data. Each human ship recorded every attack, every weak point in the Krith fleet. It was as if the humans were not afraid at all. The Krith fleet commander, Admiral Korin, was puzzled. "Why aren't they fighting properly?" he demanded. "Why aren't they running?" A human captain, Commander Elias Vance, watched the attacks calmly from his command bridge. "Let them learn," he said to his crew. "We'll show them how humans fight when the time comes." The Krith fleet became more aggressive. They did not realize that every action they took was being anticipated. Every maneuver they made was recorded, studied, and countered. Humans adapted to every attack almost instantly. Meanwhile, Trelak's warning echoed in the minds of a few Krith officers who remembered him. They began to worry. Could it be true? Could these small, fragile humans be something more than a minor nuisance? On the ground, Haven Prime cities prepared quietly. Underground bunkers were reinforced. Autonomous defense systems hummed to life. Drones and automated weapons were placed strategically in every corner. Humans had always known that they were vulnerable, so they had prepared for this day, even before it came. As the Krith fleet thought victory was near, they were blind to the fact that the humans had no intention of winning this battle in a conventional way. Commander Vance's plan was simple: study the enemy, survive, and prepare. Every retreating move the humans made was a carefully calculated trap. Every station abandoned was part of a larger plan. By the third day of battle, Krith ships began to fall unexpectedly. Mines they had not seen detonated near their engines. Satellite systems they ignored fired concentrated energy bursts. The Krith commanders were furious. "They are too clever," shouted Corrin. "How can a species so primitive be so dangerous?" From orbit, Trelak observed silently. He had warned them, and now they were learning the hard way. "I told you," he whispered almost to himself. "Never underestimate humans. They are not what you think they are." The humans, however, were calm. They never panicked. They never gave in to fear. They communicated clearly, coordinated quickly, and adapted faster than anyone expected. Each Krith strike that failed only made the humans stronger. They learned the enemy's patterns, predicted attacks, and prepared countermeasures. By the fourth day, Krith morale was cracking. Ships that were supposed to be easy victories were destroyed. Fleets that had advanced boldly were forced to retreat. Every Krith attempt to conquer the colony ended in failure. And yet, the humans did not celebrate. They repaired, they analyzed, and they waited. They waited for the Krith to make mistakes, knowing that those mistakes would be costly. The humans were patient, relentless, and intelligent. Admiral Corrin realized the truth slowly, with growing horror. "This is no ordinary species," he muttered. "They are unstoppable once they commit." As night fell over Haven Prime, the battle above continued. Krith ships burned in space, while human vessels moved with calm precision, striking only when necessary. Commander Vance stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the enemy fleet. "They think this is war," he said quietly, "but it is only the beginning." Trelak, watching from the sidelines, finally allowed himself a small nod. "Yes," he said, "it begins. And they will not stop. They never stop." The Krith Dominion believed this would be a quick conquest. They were wrong. Humans were not merely defending. They were teaching a lesson that would echo across the stars. Attack humans and you may never escape. And so, the first seeds of a galaxy-wide warning were planted. The story of the small, resilient species from Earth would spread, whispered in fear among generals, and recorded in the histories of every alien race. This was only the beginning. The Krith Dominion had never faced anything like the humans of Haven Prime. Every strike they launched, every ship they sent, seemed to vanish into thin air, only to be met with unexpected counterattacks. Admiral Corrin's pride burned and his frustration grew with each passing hour. "Why do they not fight properly?" he demanded to his commanders. "Why do they retreat instead of surrendering?" Commander Vance, aboard his flagship Resolute, watched the Krith fleet carefully. The humans had pulled back, abandoning orbital stations and even some settlements, making it appear as if they were weak. But every retreat was intentional. Every movement had been calculated to lure the Krith deeper into human territory, where the real dangers waited. On the surface, Haven Prime seemed calm. Citizens carried on with their lives, unaware of the full scale of the conflict. Engineers worked in factories, preparing supplies and maintaining hidden defenses. Scientists studied enemy movements and fed the data to human commanders in real time. Even the children, though kept safe, were trained in emergency drills. Humans had learned long ago that survival meant preparation, and preparation meant thinking ahead. As the Krith pursued the retreating human forces, they began to notice something odd. Supplies they expected to find were gone. Communication signals disappeared, leaving them blind. When they fired at what appeared to be empty space, automated defenses struck back from hidden locations. The Krith ships shook under precision attacks, and Admiral Corrin's face turned pale. "They are not just fighting," said Corrin, voice tight. "They are trapping us." The truth hit him harder than any weapon could. Humans were masters of strategy. Retreat was never cowardice. It was a tactic. Every weak signal, every abandoned station, every seeming escape route was part of a larger design. The Krith had entered a game they did not understand, and the humans were already 10 moves ahead. Commander Vance gave orders calmly. "Do not overextend," he said to his officers. "Let them chase. Let them make mistakes. We will be ready." Human drones began to appear where the Krith expected nothing. These drones were small but deadly, carrying precision weapons and data collection tools. They scanned every Krith ship, learning the weaknesses in real time. Energy fields, shield frequencies, even the layout of enemy vessels were analyzed. Within hours, humans had improved their targeting systems based on the Krith's own technology. Corrin could feel the pressure mounting. "Pull back," he shouted. "We cannot lose more ships like this." But it was too late. Every exit route the Krith had planned was either destroyed or compromised. Human forces had quietly moved behind them, cutting off escape. Stations that appeared abandoned were actually full of automated weapons and repair units. Mines hidden in asteroids and orbital debris waited to strike. As the Krith tried to regroup, Commander Vance implemented the next stage of his plan. Ambush fleets, small and almost invisible, appeared behind Krith lines. They struck quickly, disabling engines and severing communication links. The Krith could not predict the attacks. Every movement they made seemed to play right into human hands. Admiral Corrin's fury turned into panic. He could not understand how a species so small, so seemingly primitive, could outmaneuver him at every turn. "This is impossible," he yelled. "They cannot be this organized." But the humans were calm. On board the Resolute, Vance watched the Krith struggle, a quiet satisfaction on his face. "They do not understand us," he said to his crew. "They think size and strength decide the battle. They do not see that patience, intelligence, and strategy matter far more." Back in the Krith command ship, Trellak's warning echoed again. "I told you," he muttered quietly. "You cannot flee from humans. They never let you leave." The Krith attempted to escape through hyperspace, hoping to reach friendly space, but their calculations failed. Human interference in navigation systems caused false readings, misalignments, and unexpected obstacles. Ships that jumped into hyperspace appeared somewhere else entirely, often into zones filled with mines or waiting human fleets. The Krith realized too late that humans controlled the battlefield even from afar. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, humans continued to prepare. Supply depots, once hidden, now activated to send drones and automated reinforcements into orbit. Repair units restored damaged ships in record time, often before the Krith even noticed. Humans had mastered speed, efficiency, and timing. They turned what seemed like retreat into a perfect trap. Corrin gathered his remaining officers. "We cannot fight like this," he said grimly. "We must negotiate, or at least retreat to regroup." But humans did not negotiate. Humans offered surrender only when the enemy was trapped. And now the Krith found themselves exactly where Vance wanted them, surrounded, outmatched, and unable to escape. Commander Vance gave a final order: begin systematic neutralization, disable engines first, then weapons, then communication. Precision only, no unnecessary destruction. They will learn respect. The Krith ships shuddered as their engines failed one by one. Communications went silent. Their own weapons misfired or turned against them due to automated interference. Panic spread among the Krith crews. They had expected humans to fight back fiercely, but not with such cunning, such patience, such relentless planning. From orbit, Vance watched silently. "This is the moment," he said. "They will understand why no one attacks humans unprepared." The Krith attempted desperate measures. Some ships tried to break through, sacrificing themselves to create openings. Others attempted to surrender, but humans had already blocked all possible routes. Even those who tried stealthily to flee were intercepted by drones and automated fleets. The Krith could neither fight nor escape. Trelak's eyes narrowed as he observed the scene. "Yes," he whispered. "They learn quickly. They adapt faster than anything I have ever seen. And they never stop." By the fifth day, the Krith Dominion had suffered devastating losses. Entire fleets were stranded, crippled, or captured. Their pride was shattered. What they had thought would be a minor conquest had become a nightmare. Every Krith ship that remained afloat was a reminder of the humans' cunning, patience, and absolute control over their territory. On Haven Prime, life continued as normal. Citizens walked streets, children played in parks, engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to maintain defenses. Humans had won not through brute force, but through careful planning, strategy, and precision. They had turned a retreat into a trap, and now the Krith were learning the cost of underestimating them. Corin slumped in his chair, staring at the holographic displays of his destroyed fleet. How can this be?" he muttered. "They are so small, they are so fragile." "And yet," Vance's voice came over the comms, calm and steady. "You see, Admiral, humans fight differently. We do not seek glory or conquest first. We seek survival, efficiency, and control. And once we have the advantage, we do not let go." The Krith Dominion was trapped. And they realized the terrifying truth. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not flee. They did not surrender easily. They were relentless, intelligent, and patient beyond anything the Krith had ever faced. As night fell over Haven Prime, the humans prepared for the next stage. They would not destroy the Krith entirely, at least, not yet. They wanted the Dominion to understand a simple lesson: never attack humans and never think you can escape once engaged. Admiral Corin stared at the stars, at the humans above and around him. For the first time in his life, he felt fear. Not the fear of dying in battle, but the fear of facing a species that would not stop, that would not retreat, and that would never let him flee. Commander Vance looked out from his bridge, calm and collected, knowing that the Krith had walked into a trap they could never escape. "They will remember this," he said quietly, "and they will tell others, and that will be enough." The galaxy would soon learn the truth, but for now, Haven Prime remained calm, peaceful, and completely in control. Humans had set the stage, and the Krith Dominion had walked right into it. The trap was complete. And no one, not even the proudest aliens in the Conclave, would ever forget it. The Krith Dominion had underestimated the humans of Haven Prime. Every day, every attack, every retreat had been part of a larger plan, one the Krith had failed to recognize until it was too late. Admiral Corin sat in his command room aboard the crippled flagship Oblivion, staring at the tactical displays in disbelief. His fleet was fragmented, his ships were damaged, and every escape route he had planned was blocked by human forces. "They are everywhere," Corin whispered to his second-in-command, his voice tight. "It is as if they control space itself." His second-in-command, a young Krith officer named Zur, nodded. "They are not like anything we have ever faced," he said quietly. "It is not just their technology, it is their strategy. They do not attack blindly. They anticipate, they adapt, they learn." Indeed, humans were not fighting like the Krith or other alien species. They moved with precision. They struck where it mattered. They avoided unnecessary losses, and they never panicked. Humans did not rush into battle for glory. They planned, they waited, and they acted when victory was guaranteed. Commander Elias Vance stood on the bridge of the human flagship Resolute, observing the remaining Krith fleets. He spoke softly to his officers. "We are not here to destroy them entirely, at least not yet. Our goal is simple: remove their ability to fight and escape. Once they understand this, they will never underestimate humans again." Below, human cyber units worked tirelessly. They had already infiltrated Krith communication networks, subtly twisting signals, feeding false information, and capturing enemy intelligence. Every fleet movement, every tactical plan the Krith tried to execute was known to the humans before it happened. The Krith tried to regroup. Small fleets attempted to move toward distant systems to call for reinforcements, yet every attempt failed. Hyperspace routes were monitored and blocked. Stealth ships were discovered by drones faster than they could react. Even attempts to hide among asteroid fields or nebulas were thwarted by automated human scanners. "They are ghosts," Admiral Corrin growled. "They strike without being seen and appear where they should not be. How can this be?" Vance smiled quietly. "It is simple," he said. "We do not fight like them, we do not flee, we do not panic. Every move is calculated, every risk measured. And most importantly, we never let our enemies leave until they understand the consequences of attacking us." The Krith fleet commander tried one final gambit. He ordered a concentrated strike on Haven Prime itself, hoping that if they destroyed the planet's orbital defenses, the humans would be forced to surrender. Massive Krith warships converged on the planet, weapons firing in a coordinated volley, but humans were ready. Energy shields flared into life, absorbing the blasts with minimal damage. Automated repair drones patched hull breaches faster than the Krith could destroy them. Counterstrikes from hidden human fleets targeted engines, weapons, and navigation systems with deadly precision. In hours, what had been a bold Krith attack turned into a disaster. Ships drifted helplessly in orbit, unable to move, their crews panicked. Corrin watched helplessly as one ship after another fell. His pride was shattered. "This cannot be," he muttered. "We are the Krith Dominion, we conquer worlds, and yet we cannot defeat them." On the human bridge, Vance addressed his crew. "They are learning," he said calmly. "Every attempt to fight us makes them weaker. Every mistake they make teaches them a lesson they will never forget." The Krith officers finally realized the warning Trelak had given them. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not retreat when threatened. They did not surrender easily. And most importantly, they did not forget. By the end of the first week, the Krith were trapped completely. Fleets were immobilized, escape routes were blocked, and communication with the rest of their empire was severed. Human ships moved like shadows, silent but deadly, striking only where necessary to ensure maximum effect. Some Krith attempted surrender. Messages were sent pleading for mercy. But humans did not attack the helpless. They offered surrender terms only when the enemy could not escape or continue fighting. And even then, the terms were designed to remove the ability to wage war in the future. Vance spoke to the Krith envoy who had attempted to surrender. "You wanted war," he said calmly. "We gave you battle, we gave you time to think, and now you will understand that humans fight not for conquest alone, but for survival and for guarantee. If a threat exists, we will ensure it never becomes one again." The Krith looked around, shocked and fearful. Their fleets were crippled, their pride shattered, and their technology no longer gave them advantage. They had underestimated humans, assuming they were weak, simple creatures. And now they understood the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were unstoppable once committed. Across the galaxy, other species began to notice the story unfolding. Reports of Krith defeats, of entire fleets trapped and disabled by humans, reached distant worlds. The tale of Haven Prime's resistance spread quickly. Whispers began in the galactic conclave. Warnings about humans that were once laughed at were now taken seriously. Even the alien envoy, Trelak, watched quietly as the humans executed the final stages of their plan. He had seen their capabilities before, yes, but not on this scale. Not with such precision, such patience, such clarity of purpose. He shook his head. They do not fight like anyone else, he said softly, and they do not forgive easily. Corin, finally realizing the depth of his mistake, slumped in his command chair. What do they want from us? He asked weakly. Understanding, Vance replied over comms. We want you to understand that attacking humans carries consequences you cannot escape. That is all. We do not seek unnecessary destruction, but we will act decisively when required. The Krith Dominion could do nothing. Their ships were captured or disabled, their command broken, and their pride shattered. For the first time in history, an alien species had been completely outmaneuvered not through raw power, but through intelligence, patience, and relentless strategy. On Haven Prime, the humans repaired what little damage had occurred. Fleet units that had been strained during battle were restored. Defense systems were reactivated and upgraded. And everywhere the humans remained calm, disciplined, and ready for any further aggression. Commander Vance observed the aftermath. The galaxy will learn, he said. They will tell others what happens when humans are attacked. They will understand that we do not fight like other species, and that will be enough. The Krith Dominion, humbled and fearful, would carry the story of Haven Prime wherever they went. They would warn other species, teaching the lesson they had learned the hard way. Humans fight differently. Humans fight relentlessly, and humans never let an enemy escape unpunished. As night fell over Haven Prime, the humans prepared for the next stage. Not of war, because the war was effectively over, but of control. Every remaining Krith vessel would be neutralized or captured. Every threat would be studied, analyzed, and neutralized. The humans did not destroy for pleasure. They ensured survival, efficiency, and security. And in the quiet moments, Commander Vance looked out at the stars and spoke softly. They will never forget this, and the galaxy will never be the same. The humans had shown what it meant to fight with intelligence, courage, and relentless determination. They had demonstrated that a small species could outthink, outmaneuver, and defeat a mighty empire. The Krith Dominion was no longer a threat, not because it had been destroyed entirely, but because it had learned a lesson it would carry forever. Never attack humans, for they do not forgive, they do not flee, and they do not forget. And thus, the humans of Haven Prime proved once again why, in the galaxy, they were a force that could never be ignored. They did not seek war, they sought only survival, but when threatened, they ensured that no one could threaten them again. The lesson spread quietly like a shadow through the stars. Humans were not merely fighters. Humans were strategic, intelligent, and unstoppable once engaged. And the Krith would never escape the memory of that lesson. The Krith Dominion had suffered their greatest defeat. Their fleets were crippled, their pride shattered, and their ability to wage war severely limited. Yet they still remained conscious, aware, and trapped within the very system they had intended to conquer. Across Haven Prime's orbit, human ships moved like shadows, silent, precise, and relentless. Every Krith vessel that survived was closely monitored, ensuring that no one could escape without consequence. Commander Elias Vance stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, calm as always, observing the once proud Krith fleets now immobilized. "We have made our point," he said quietly to his officers. "They will live, but they will never be a threat again. They will carry this lesson wherever they go." The Krith, humbled and furious, still struggled to comprehend the humans. Admiral Corin sat in his command chair aboard the crippled Oblivion, staring blankly at the tactical displays. His mind raced, recalling the alien envoy Trellek's words. "I told you," Trellek had said long ago, "do not attack humans, they will never let you flee." And now Corin understood, too late. "Why?" Corin finally asked aloud, almost to himself. "Why do they not simply destroy us? Why spare us?" Vance's voice came over the comms, calm and deliberate. "We do not destroy what we can control. We do not waste effort on unnecessary violence. We teach lessons. We ensure that no one will ever make the same mistake again. The Krith had expected humans to fight with the fury of rage or the ambition of conquest. Instead, they had encountered something entirely different, a species that fought with intelligence, patience, and purpose. Humans did not chase glory and they did not flee. They adapted. They calculated. And most importantly, they never let an enemy leave once engaged without consequence. Across the galaxy, whispers of the Krith defeat had begun to spread. Reports of entire fleets neutralized by humans, not through overwhelming power but through strategy, precision, and relentless planning, reached distant worlds. Many laughed at first, dismissing humans as small and fragile. But the story repeated itself in every corner of the galaxy, confirmed by the few survivors who had faced them firsthand. In distant star systems, military academies began to include the humans of Haven Prime as case studies. The lessons were simple yet terrifying. Never underestimate humans. Do not attack them first. And if you do, expect no mercy and no escape. Back in the Krith command ship, Corran finally accepted the truth. His fleets had been humbled. His empire had suffered an embarrassment of strategic failure, and yet he lived. He had been spared because the humans saw no need to destroy what was already contained. Vance addressed him personally. "Admiral Corran," he said, "you have fought bravely. But bravery alone is not enough. We do not fight like other species. We do not surrender easily. And we do not let anyone leave once engaged. Take this lesson back to your empire. Teach it well." Corran's pride burned, but he nodded, realizing that there was no other choice. He had survived, not because of his skill, but because the humans had chosen to demonstrate their control and intelligence rather than their full destructive capability. Trelak, watching from a distance, allowed himself a small nod. "They are truly remarkable," he murmured. "Not because of power alone, but because they think differently, fight differently, and endure relentlessly." Haven Prime itself remained calm. Citizens went about their daily lives, unaware of the full scale of the victory above. Engineers repaired minor damages, scientists analyzed data from the Krith fleets, and military strategists prepared for any future threats. Humans had proven that victory was not only about strength, but also about foresight and patience. As the Krith fleets were slowly escorted into containment zones, humans made a clear demonstration. They could annihilate their enemies, but instead, they chose to control and teach. The lesson was unforgettable. No species should attack humans unprepared, for the consequences would be absolute and irreversible. Across the galaxy, species began to take notice. Ambassadors, commanders, and diplomats from distant worlds now spoke cautiously of humans. The warnings Trelak had delivered long ago were finally taken seriously. Humans were no longer considered a minor species. They were a force that demanded respect. In the galactic conclave, humans presented themselves calmly. They did not boast. They did not threaten. They spoke clearly, outlining their philosophy. They preferred peace, cooperation, and fairness. But if attacked, they ensured that the aggressor could never pose a threat again. The Krith envoy, once proud and defiant, now knelt before human diplomats. "We understand," Corran said quietly. "We will carry your lesson to every corner of our empire. Humanity is not to be tested lightly." Vance replied simply, "We do not seek war, but we ensure survival. That is all humans require." Even Trelak was impressed. The humans had accomplished something extraordinary. They had defeated a powerful enemy without destroying unnecessarily, teaching the galaxy that their strength lay not in brute force, but in intelligence, patience, and an unbreakable will. The Krith Dominion would survive, but forever altered. Every officer, every fleet, every leader would remember Haven Prime. They would warn others, creating a galaxy-wide understanding that humans were not ordinary. They did not fight like anyone else. They did not retreat. They did not surrender, and they did not forget. As decades passed, stories of Haven Prime and the humans spread from one system to another. The galaxy learned quietly, through tales and lessons, that attacking humans first was folly. Humans became symbols of ingenuity, determination, and relentless strategy. Entire empires revised their tactics, understanding that intelligence and patience could overcome raw power. Meanwhile, humans of Haven Prime continued their lives as they always had, peaceful, curious, and disciplined. They explored new stars, built new technologies, and ensured that their worlds remained safe. But the memory of the Krith Dominion's overconfidence remained, a silent reminder of human resilience. Commander Vance walked across the surface of Haven Prime one evening, looking at the stars. He spoke softly to Trelak, who accompanied him. "They think they know the galaxy," he said. "But humans are different. They do not fight to die, they fight to endure, and when they fight, nothing escapes them." Trelak nodded, understanding the full truth at last. "I have seen many species rise and fall," he said. "But none like humans, none with such will, such intelligence, and such determination." The Krith Dominion, once proud and arrogant, now existed as a warning. The galaxy had learned a simple but powerful lesson. Humans are not to be underestimated. They are not merely strong or clever. They are relentless, adaptable, and unwavering. And the humans of Haven Prime had written a rule across the stars. For the galaxy, it was a quiet, unspoken understanding. No one dared challenge humans directly again. The HFY spirit was clear. Even the smallest, seemingly fragile species could rise to greatness, outthink empires, and survive with honor, intelligence, and courage. Haven Prime's people did not celebrate as heroes. They knew their victory was not only about war, it was about proving that intelligence, discipline, and relentless determination were far more powerful than fear or brute force. And so, across the stars, a new era began, one in which humans were respected, feared, and admired, not for their weapons, but for their mind, their courage, and their unyielding spirit. In every system where the Krith or any other species whispered about Haven Prime, one truth was clear: humans do not surrender, humans do not flee, humans do not forget, and humans never let an enemy escape unpunished. The galaxy had learned this lesson well, and the humans of Haven Prime had cemented their place as a species unlike any other.